Hello, I'm John Fitzgerald from BooDroo.com, and today I'm going to show you how BooDroo can be used for churches and nonprofits. The first question that you probably are wondering is, what is BooDroo? And BooDroo is basically a text message communication tool. It's not a mobile app, it's not a website. It's basically a way for you to communicate with groups via text message. Some important factors to remember about BooDroo is, number one, it's free. You can start as many groups as you want. Each group is free, and every message you send out is free. It's quick, meaning that people can join your group from their mobile phone, whether they are in church, at a meeting, at home reading literature, or an advertisement or a bulletin. And it's very easy. Once someone's on your group, you can send a text message to everyone in your group, and all you have to do is visit the BooDroo.com website, log in, send the message. You can also send messages from your phone. So if you have 100 people in your group, you can reach them in seconds. So the way it works is, you start a BooDroo group. You got to go to BooDroo.com to do that. And we've made some videos about how to do that. The whole process of starting a group and registering for the site takes about 3 to 5 minutes. So once you have your group, you will have a phone number, and people will text the word join to your phone number, and that puts them automatically on your group. And basically the only thing you have to do is tell them what your group number is. You can put that in a church bulletin. You could put that on a flyer. You can put that on your Facebook page, your website. Basically you're trying to reach your most loyal, dedicated parishioners or volunteers, or just anyone that's really interested in what you have to say, what your news or announcement or your message is. And once they're on your group, you can share important updates and news announcements with them. And like I said, the whole process of sending that message takes it takes maybe a minute. So this is an example message that a church might send out to its group members. Just a reminder about the Mass schedule, and it has a call to action, telling them to check their bulletin for details. You can also include a link. If you have a mobile website, you can put a link in your message, and it'll open up right in their phone. So there are multiple messages you can put out. You could put out updates, announcements, important news alerts that you need people to find out quickly. And you can have multiple groups. So a church could have a group for the entire church, and also for each church group could also have their own group. So you could kind of segment it into very targeted lists of people that may overlap, but the whole goal here is to have groups of people that want to hear your messages. And you might be asking why BooDroo is more effective than traditional social media. Well, the promise of social media is that you're going to have your message, you're going to broadcast it out there, and you're going to have more and more people listening. People are going to share it, it's going to go viral. But the reality is that you may be using Facebook, you may be using Twitter, and what we've found is that a lot of churches and nonprofits, although some are using social media effectively, a lot of churches and nonprofits are having trouble getting followers, getting people to share their content, getting people interested. And there's a good reason for that. Basically, you're out there sending your message, but you're competing with major brands like Coke and Nike. And those brands are out there pumping their messages out, and they're competing for eyeballs with you. And it's very difficult to compete against these giants. So the reality of social media is that successful social media takes a lot of time and a lot of money. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not a fair playing field for a small business or a church or a nonprofit, because you just don't have those resources. Now, one of the things I like to point out when I'm explaining BooDroo is that Facebook and Twitter don't allow people to see your messages. Well, it's not that they don't allow it, but a Facebook page, when it puts out a post, that post is seen by an average of about 15% of the people that have liked the page. So if you have 100 people that have liked your page and you put out a message, you may think that all 100 people are going to see that message, but only 15% will even have that message appear in their feed. And if they're not even watching, if they're not logged on at the time, or if they're not paying attention, you're not even going to get that 15%. Twitter, according to the studies that I've seen, it's a little bit higher, but it's only 29%, and that's that's really tough. I mean, that means you're going to have to put out a lot of messages on Twitter and Facebook in order to achieve your desired reach of reaching all the people that have liked your page or are following your Twitter account. In contrast, BooDroo has a 98% read rate, and that's based on data of the open rate and the read rate of text messages, and that's all BooDroo is. It's a platform for sending text messages to your group. And that 98% read rate is important because that means if you've got 20 people on your list, 98% of them are going to, essentially 100%, are going to get your message, open your message, and read your message. So if you have 20 people, you're actually going to have a greater reach than if you had 100 Facebook followers or Facebook fans. And I think that's really the power of BooDroo for a church or a nonprofit. Now, because of the lower read rates on Twitter and Facebook, the suggested number of weekly messages on both of those platforms are very high, and I've seen different numbers tossed around about how many messages you're supposed to share on Twitter and Facebook in order to create a maximum effect, a maximum impact. And I've seen numbers that indicate 25 messages per week on Twitter or 50 messages per week on Facebook. That's a lot. And again, we get back to the larger brands. You're competing with brands that have the staff and the resources to put out targeted content. They're creating photos, they're creating videos, they're posting messages all day, and they're reaching the people that you're trying to reach because they have the resources to do so. In contrast, we recommend that BooDroo group admins only send out maybe 1, 2, or 3 messages a week. That's all you need to do. I mean, if you've got 50 dedicated people following your BooDroo group, you don't have to hit them with 10 messages a week. They're going to see all of your messages. So 1 or 2 or 3 messages, maybe you go with 1 message a week unless there's something really important, and then you send out an extra message. But the amount of time that you need to spend on BooDroo is minimal compared to Twitter and Facebook. And that's something in my work with charities and churches. I've found that the amount of time that needs to be spent in order to make a positive impact via social media is it's very difficult for them to do that. So what we've done with BooDroo is we've tried to create a method for you to reach people without expending a lot of energy. So the point here is less work, more reach, and that's really the core message of BooDroo. And if you want to get started on BooDroo, just go to BooDroo.com. We've got some instructional videos there. You basically just create an account. It takes a couple of minutes, and then you can create a group, and you'll have your group will get a phone number. It's automatically assigned when you make your group, and you just give that number to the people that you think might want to join your group, and that's it. And if you have any questions, you can always reach me at john@boodroo.com. And thanks for watching.